So I was on one of my favorite Facebook groups the other day, news groups, whatever you want to call them, groups. I guess I don't call them news groups anymore. I was on one of my favorite Facebook groups, Lego Monorail. And Monorail is not specifically or exclusively related to actually original Lego Monorail. Other people have posted their monorail layouts using the new roller coaster track, as well as just a 2x2 bricks, 2-wide brick monorail track, which I find exemplary. I know I did try to do that when I was much younger, in my teens. I never got around to finishing it because Monorail came out. So it's not exclusively just Lego Monorail, produced Monorail, other modes of monorail type transportation. But anyway, somebody was posting, they asked a question, what people did to substitute this wonderful support. What have people used over the years instead of this guy? Because this guy is fantastic. It's very strong. It connects to a base plate very well. It's a 6x6, 6 studs. I mean, this thing's hard to remove. And it's got a double high stud here, which liaises or clicks in or pushes into the actual monorail. So the monorail is very, very hard to shake off. So these supports work very well for a raised monorail track, but not the best looking thing in the world. So I dispensed with these very, very early. Got rid of those. Went with these guys for a while. And these guys come in a variety of colors, so you don't have to use black. I liked these guys. They're a little more wishy-washy. One stud or one plate thick, and they come off pretty easy, right? You know, it doesn't hold on if you shake the table. So, but Monorail overall, because you lock them all together, they hold together very well. So these things worked out well for me until I had to actually elevate the track over something else, because these things, I didn't want these things in the middle of a roadway. So I actually had to have them to the side like this and having like a 2x6 plate going over to hold this monorail and suspended in there. So that eliminated this guy as a possibility for me. So I came up with the solution that looked like this. So, not the prettiest thing in the world. I won't say it's Blacktron colors, because yellow and black, they're on the Galaxy Explorer and the 924. But, and I ordered lots of these octagon parts through Bricklink years ago for some other project, and I just ended up using them here. And the ratio worked out perfectly well, because this to here, if you put a plate on the bottom, this is exactly 12 bricks tall, which is what I elevate my monorail to. So the first level is 2 bricks off the base plate, because I use a lot of crater plates and I wanted my monorail to go above the crater plate. So I know the original moon base criteria was the level 0 or level 1. The monorail is bolted or put right onto the base plate. My problem is I like crater base plates, and these things would always, I'd have to work around the craters in order to run the monorail. So I said, screw that. I'm going to move the base monorail layer up to full bricks. So any monorail track on my layouts are 2 bricks high on the base monorail loop, which also worked well because the train track is also raised up. I have a Lego train loop, and I'll look at that in a second, in my space layout, and that's also raised up 2 bricks from the base, from the studs in the base. And that's again because of the crater plates. And it actually worked very well going into buildings, because the buildings were raised, and so the track went into the buildings very nicely, having them 2 bricks up. So accommodating for the craters, just give me a sec, I'll show you that. Accommodating for the craters, I just have to grab I'll just grab one of my base plates. And if you put this thing here, and I'm just going to grab this thing because it's just handy. It is these things. Overall, there's a little bump here that sometimes interferes, but overall, this crater plate does not go above 2 bricks. So you can actually put everything above this thing, and especially the monorail, because the monorail has this blank spot in the middle. So this thing would go in there like that, and it cleared the craters. So that's why layer 1 is 2 bricks above the base plate. Layer 2 is 12 bricks, because again, the ramp is 10 bricks tall. So layer 2 is 12 bricks, so it's 2, 12, 22, 32, 42, etc. When Jeff and I did the big layout, the 12.5 by 12.5, I think the bottom layer was actually, we worked it out so the bottom layer was actually on the base plate, like it was right there. But it was a lot more work to work around the craters, and then we had to remove certain 32 base plates and just put a blank 32 by 32 base plate instead of a crater plate, because there was a monorail right there and that doesn't work. So anyway, so I learned from that and I went up to. So this thing wouldn't work anyway, because either you put 2 by 2s on top, or you build the bottom out, you know, make it look like more structure, whatever. It's just a lot of brick to go into that. And this thing's not pretty in the first place. So this thing also 10, you have to add 2 bricks in the top or something in the bottom, make it elevated. This thing worked out very, very well, because now this thing goes onto the base plate like this, like that, see? And then overall, because I can't do this with while I'm trying to film at the same time. And then the actual track is elevated over top of, because now the train track is here. So this is above the train track, and it's supported very well. So I have these every 32 studs. This support every 32 studs, and it comes off. And because this studless beam, Technic beam, is here, holding that and that together, this whole thing doesn't break. Like, it's very hard to break. It's very, I mean, you can go this way, but there's no force that way. The force is down here, right? So this thing works out very, very well. I like this. The problem is that because I had a lot of track, it looked like a bumblebee. I mean, it really did. Because here's some other ones that I made over the years. Because again, I have some tracks that are 3 or 4. So this actually sits on top of one of my buildings, which is 12 studs high. So this is 22. This is 32, and this is 42. This is 42 studs. 42 bricks, sorry, 42 bricks in the air. That's my top loop that goes to the tower. This up here. That up here, oh, so look, the picture's great. I mean, this picture I can explain. This is 42 bricks higher from the base plate to here is 42 bricks. So that's 42 bricks, 32 bricks, 22 bricks, 12 bricks, and then of course you can see the crater plate here. And so any loop in the bottom is 2 bricks. Anyway, I've said that enough. I think you guys get it. And then I made this one too. This one is again 42 bricks tall, so I can have this one goes over here a little bit more for the upper loop. And around the perimeter, because I couldn't do this any other way, I made 11 more of these. So I got 11 of these, and they are strategically placed around the perimeter to hold the bottom loop, well, not the loop that's 12 bricks tall. It holds them up on the perimeter, because again, there's usually a train track underneath this. So you have to have both occupying the same space, but one above the other. But I didn't like having those in the middle because it just too much yellow and black. So I did come up with something, and I was playing with things, and I wanted to use this as a foundation, like in the concrete. So you got, like, you know, as I said earlier, you got that. Let's get it on there. You know, I'm not good at this when I'm videotaping. I don't have a problem with the show, but okay. So you got that, and then I came up with this, and this was the best of all possible worlds. So that's 12 bricks tall. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. and then this thing goes on top like that. Now, again, it's not the strongest thing in the entire universe, again, because these things fall off because they're only 1 plate tall. But when they're all connected together, it doesn't matter. That's the best part about monorails. When you click them all together with the 1x4s on the outside, these things, you can use them as a hula hoop. Really wanted to, if you want to wreck your monorail, but it's stable, and so all you have to have is the straight downward force, so it won't be going like that, it won't be going like that. So this is the tower, the support that I came up with, and I really like that. As you can see, some of my gray is a little faded. I think I got a really bad one in here that I was looking at earlier that I'm going to replace now that I see it. That guy right there, I'm going to replace him. But so I made a whole bunch of these, and then it's come apart. So basically the cone, the rocket cone, stays on the base plates. As I said, when I take down my layout, these things are taped to the plywood underneath in a 2x3 arrangement, and these things stay right on. So I don't have to guess where they're going to be, because again, when you have a sea of base plates and you're trying to put the supports down before you get around to it, you have to count over studs. Where does this one go? No, so I just pull this off like that, and that stays right on the base plate. And I actually put markings around it just in case this falls off during transport, although it hasn't yet. I put little tiny cheese wedges around here. So if this thing actually does come off, well, that's where it goes, because the cheese wedges are not going to come off. This thing, you know, might fall off occasionally. But you do have to use the one with the cross piece in it, obviously, the axle hole. You can't use the original one. Well, you could, but then this thing is not sticking in, right? So this would be another point of failure of this thing breaking off. Right now, the only point of failure is on the top, because even at this top piece, I think it's a 1x12 or I think it's a 10 or 12 axle in there. So this whole thing, when it's put together, you can't use a non-axle hole thruster, rocket thruster. So that's perfect. And yes, the old gray 2x2 round bricks are in scarcity. Absolutely, they are. Not for me. But the 2x2 rounds come in a variety of colors now, and you got even the ones that came in Atlantis with the ridges on them. Use those. I mean, if you want to do this, they work well. And the only reason why I have this flare at the bottom, because you can use just 2x2 rounds all the way down to the bottom. The only reason I use this because it has more quote-unquote surface area to stick onto the base plate whenever I get it working. So, and it looks like it's supposed to be there. It looks like it's a foundation and built up from the foundation. So if you look at some of my videos, you'll see this, and it's everywhere. I mean, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of them in the layout. The other thing I did with this, just like when I showed you this guy here, because I had to make it taller to go to the upper levels, because most of these are just for layer 1. That's 12 bricks higher than the rest. I made it so they're removable. So this one is, I try to keep them all the same, except now this guy will allow you to put, let me see if I find the right part here. Sorry for wasting your time. This guy here, and so there's this guy. So this is now, so this is 12 to here, right? And there's another 10 because this is going to go up now. And I think it went down to this guy here, like that. Yeah, so now you got a tower that looks like that. Now it's a little flimsy right where it breaks. So when you're putting it together, it's a little But as soon as it's together, the monorail holds the whole thing together. This is one of my substitutions to get rid of this guy, right? Because this, again, Bumblebee, too much yellow. But I kept 2 of them, and again, the ones that go in the perimeter, because these things don't do well. These guys don't do well with the overhang. Having the, as I say, the 2x6. Fine. I thought I had it right earlier. Give me a sec. These things do not do well with this piece, right? Because you'd have to get on top to hold it there, right? So here, it's being held by the weight of the top is holding this piece in place. But if you're just doing it at the very top, the weight of the monorail will pull out and push down. So these things are not good for off-center weight support, I found. I mean, you could probably jury rig it, and again, use the, find out, because again, now you have 2x2 rounds with the axle, I mean the peg hole in it. So you could actually just do this and use the pegs and keep it together, but then you still have that thing on the side. I don't know. I like this right now. It's working out well, and of course I like the 2x2 plates, yellow, black, yellow, to connote, hey, this is classic space. I'm doing all this right now to talk about what I use for supporting all my monorail track above the base plate level. But also, this is the one shelf I don't think I talked about too much in those other videos about my storage. So this is a wooden shelf that I built, a wooden drawer I built. And this one is the the miscellaneous, shall we say. This is the miscellaneous drawer. This is all the parts and pieces that do not break down well or cannot go into storage well. Let's see something there. So this is the train track. I take out all the train track. The train track is not attached permanently to the base plates because this goes above 2 studs. The train track's above because the base of the train track is on 2 studs. And I did what my friend Jeff showed me years ago, is that I basically, all the train, where the train track's supposed to be, I use those 8x16 tiles. So these things just come off. They're actually not clicked down to anything in the layout. They float on the layout when I put them in. It makes putting them down easy. I have exactly the right number of track here, and this is what my tracks look like. Again, yellow, black, yellow. So it does look like train track now. Now, if you look at the sides, you can see these things. But overall, I'm not going to worry about that. So the yellow, black, yellow. And I wanted to have it sort of look like some sort of magnetic lever. Like you've seen, I think, my buddy who, I can't remember his name now, did the M-Tron, the big layout in M-Tron, and they put, it looks like it's a magnetic induction coils underneath the center of the track that makes the train float in universe, which is beautiful. And I was very impressed how he hit the train track. This is how I did it, pretty easy. Blue for the rest of it because again, it's classic space, and black because the supports of the train track, the base of the train tracks are all black. But I did have these pieces, and these pieces click on because and I don't have it here because they're all in storage. These pieces click on the, so let's do this then, I'll show you. They click on like that, and they hold it to the base. So the train track can't move, and I got a whole bunch of them, which is fine. And again, the warning hashtags, the hash key or the hashes, the yellow and black warning, do not cross because you're going to get fried by electrical 5,000 volts, whatever. In universe, something's powering the train, the maglev. So there's that. So this is all my train track that I have for the layout. And one of them is, I think it's in here. Oh, there you go. One of them is where I connect the power adapter to, the 9-volt train controller. So this is where I connect the 9-volt train controller to. Because, you know, I have to, because I'm not running batteries. I don't want to run batteries in the train layout. I want to leave it 8 hours running and see bye. The train, future state, the train is also going to be controlled by the RCX. You might have seen my older video where I show you that I'm controlling my monorails via RCX using the copperized monorail track. And the train will also be controlled by the RCX and stopping at all the stations. So that's future state. Right now, the train just is controlled by one train controller and it doesn't stop. I don't know if I'm going to LDCC that part because I have a lot of train motors that are LDCC'd and RCX works well with the LDCC. My issue is that, historically speaking, LDCC works well on its own when you're controlling it with a handheld using the remote, the RCX remote or something else. But when when Mark Riley released that stuff, look him up, Mark Riley, R-E-I-L-L-Y. I might put a link in them below. But, I don't even know if it exists anymore. LDCC, Lego DCC. He actually added programming, so one RCX could IR to the RCX with LDCC on it. So you have an RCX with the standard firmware sending IR signals to the LDCC RCX to control the 3 outputs or control the LDCC chips inside the motor. So you can actually write a program using RCX language or what I use NQC to look for sensors, to look for whatever, timers, whatever, and tell the LDCC RCX what to do. And I actually have a video that I stumbled across and I forgot that I made it about 15 years ago on my YouTube channel, Palisade Villa, where you can see I have 2 trains moving around a layout. Both have LDCC chips built in, 2 Lego train motors. And there's 2 RCXs, one RCX with the LDCC controlling the 2 trains, and one RCX with programming on it that can see the switchers, see the light sensors, see the switches, and control everything, and tell the LDCC to put the train forward, backwards, whatever. That worked out fantastically well. Unfortunately, every once in a while, because there's no back communication, there's no verification, so when RCX1 sends a command to the LDCC RCX, it says, hey, do this. There's no way for the LDCC to respond back to the RCX saying, yes, I did it. So basically, I spammed, I repeated the command 12 times over 10 seconds, basically. I spammed the LDCC brick saying, stop, 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 stop. And one of those would take, and the train would stop or go backwards or whatever I told it to do. But if it doesn't do it, then the whole thing gets screwed up. So because you're counting on the program to say there's no way of verifying without, you know, more light sensors and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. So I'm going to do that again. LDCC, the train, the actual train in the layout, just like I'm doing with the RCX and the monorails. So the other things in this shelf are little things like my friend Jeff's sign that he made years ago for one of our first train layouts, this Space for Rent, which has been in every display we've ever done. I take it apart, and it's got a Fleetnork on it, because when we were doing it, Fleetnorks were all the rage. So this hasn't changed at all. This is my buddy Jeff's, and it goes with me wherever I go. This is a rocket that Josh made that I make sure it's in, and he made this when he was 3 or 4. So I make sure that's in every layout. Unikitty from the Benny spaceship. She's out front and center. And this is a ladder for that thing. This is another rocket that Josh made. Again, this goes in every layout. The Lego Canada and the... At one point, my plan, well, not my plan, one of my rules, basically, was there would be a classic space flag in front of every single building. When I do a space layout. They only came in the beta 1, but I would have, I mean, I got, as you've probably seen in other videos, I have dozens of these flags. But I would have one in front of every single building in the layout. My problem is, it happened once, 1 or 2 of my flags went missing after a show. I went to collect the flags, and there was a few missing. And I'm not saying, I could have been that I forgot them. Honestly, because I was so busy, you know, you get distracted trying to put the layout together. So now I only have 3 flags in the layout, and I put them front and center with our sign there, which works for me. This is the support to hold Jeff's sign. This is a mock that I made, and basically it's a personal transporter for the 924. Instead of like the forklift truck, this is a powered personal forklift truck, just because I needed something to fill space. So, and here's one of Peter Reed's turtles that came with the his mech, which is fantastic. So I keep him in the layout and bring him there every show. So then we got the part 2. So this is separated into divisions here. This is the second part. These are, as I say, these are the pieces that hold down the track after I put the train track in the layout. They're all identical. There's lots of them. When you see the video, you can see them there. It is like just to aid in the idea that in-universe, maglev, whatever, warning, keep away, you get run over by a train, whatever. You know, this kind of, ostensibly, I did it to hold the train track down so it wouldn't shift during the show. But then I put these on top, and I said, that's perfect. These were a complete adaptation of the center tower there. So I don't know if you can see in this tower, but these things flare out down here. Oh, let me actually show you. So these things flare out, and they come out past the 32 by 32 base plate for the center piece. This whole center piece is 30 by 32. This front piece gets attached, that front piece gets attached, and one on the side and one in the back. But these flare outs coming down, this slope coming down, when it gets past the trans windows here, the trans yellow windows, it's past the 32 base plate. So they would not fit into my new storage container. Like when this thing was just transported in a cardboard box, fine. This whole center part was one piece. The whole thing was one piece. But as soon as I got my wooden boxes, this piece had to be removed from there, because this is on this piece, but then it'd be too high to leave it on this piece and too awkward. So there's now tiles on the top of roof here that this thing sits on top of, and it just, you know, it doesn't really connect to this piece at all, but you can't tell from a distance. But with that, I also had to remove these guys. And you can see that bottom row windows right there, because they're also past the 32 stud by 32 stud, and they stick out too far. And that was a no-no. Instead of rebuilding the entire tower, this was my way of getting around that. So these bottom 4 windows, they're there in the back and the side over here, they come off and they're just held on by the 1x8 studs here. They're actually not attached at the top. They don't push in. Nobody really noticed it. But you guys can point it out the next time you're at the show, saying that this used to be all nice and smooth, 45-degree angle all the way down there, but no, these 2 windows are there, and then this one comes out a stud. Oh well. I noticed it because I built it. Nobody else has noticed it or mentioned it, but you guys can mention it at the next show. I also in here have the 928 little building. So there's that piece and there's this piece, because again, I wanted a building from the original Space series, which I don't have. I don't have the Alpha 1. I don't have the rocket. I don't have the Beta 1. I don't have the command center. I don't have any of those in the layout because again, I have my own buildings in the layout, but I wanted some representation of a building from the classic Space. And yeah, even the antennas in here, although I shouldn't be. I thought it was a little bent up. I got better ones. More windows, the 4 windows in here. This is what I built, and this is, I basically completely ripped this off from the 6990. So you can see, but I had to make it wider. I really did. It's gonna be hard to do with one hand. So there's that. It goes on top. Come on. Maybe I'll just put this down right here because I can, because I got this thing out of, and then do this. So there's that piece, and I just had the other piece. There's the other piece, and so this goes on there, and you can see exactly where I ripped this off from on the 6990. This goes on there, and that goes on there. Oops, hard to do. And this thing just attaches to the 1x4s on the monorails. So that's exactly, but I had to make it wider because this is on a curve and the monorail was hitting the inside. So this is slightly wider than the one that actually is in the 6990, but this is a complete ripoff from the 6990. So there's that. I don't mind it. You know, what's that old expression? I can't remember, Mark Twain or somebody. My brain's fried. So these guys are the little setups, the little Technic pieces, axle pieces that hold the landing pads to the center. So and I don't know if I've ever done that in a very good video, but these landing pads detach, obviously. There's 2 rows of Technic bricks separated by 2 rows of plates, obviously, because it's brick, plate, brick. You can't see it in the picture, and someday I'll show you. But these click in, and there's an 8 stud overlap between the bricks here and the bricks coming off there, and this thing just goes through to hold that together. So I have 4 of those to hold on the four landing pads. Necessary, absolutely necessary. Without these, the landing pads would just fall off. They really would. And then we'll keep on going over. Obviously, the radar dish for this 9.2 the Galaxy Explorer building, which is again right here. And then over here we have again the center pillars that hold up the monorail track, lots of them. And underneath we have all the trans dark blue tubes. These are in universe. These are the lifts that carry my space guys from level to level inside the main building. And actually you can see them right there. They go up on the 4 edges. They go right from inside the building, right from the level 0 all the way up to the top. So, but they can't be in there when it's in storage. So they're here. They're waiting to be in storage. And then over here again, we have more. These are the rocket fins for Jeff's rocket. They still have in the layout, which is utterly fantastic. More windows for that thing. So this is, again, this is the miscellaneous bin for storage, and usually it fits together very nicely. I've taken it apart right now, but everything fits in here with a little bit of room to spare for other things. But this is when I get the whole layout together, I pull out this box and I finish up putting everything together. So, and this is the part that broke off on the door, but the door itself on the box holds shut. So, so this, in sum, this is what I use now, and this is what I use. I do not use this anymore at all. I do not have one of these in the layout at all. I still have a few of these in the layout, basically nothing to do with Monorail, but hold up our little sign that Jeff made. And that's the entire bin. So, what is that on there? I don't know what I was doing. It looked like I was painting something. I just noticed that. Anyway, that's the entire thing. I got my curved tracks underneath, my straight tracks on top. Everything just slides into this drawer when I'm taking things apart, and it goes back into the box. And the next time I'm setting up the layout, which I don't know when, we are not getting our shots yet. Obviously, in Ontario, they're not doing 50-plus-year-olds right now. They're doing 80-plus-year-olds right now. But as soon as we get our shots, we're going to be doing more stuff. And maybe before the end of 2021, we will be at a show. That's our fingers are crossed, where our hopes are high. But definitely 2022, when things open up again, we are going to see which show we want to do in the world, at least North America. And we're probably going to drive. We are talking about Washington because we were talking about that before COVID hit. So Virginia, Brick Fair, whatever, this, I might beg them to let me bring my layout. See if they'll let me. And we'll take a trip. We'll take a trip to the States and do another show. And bring this with us. And then if you want to see it live, we will be there. That's the hope anyway. Everybody stay safe. Again, questions, concerns, comments, whatever. I love talking. I think you guys can see that. And I love talking about my hobby here. And if you have ideas or thoughts or suggestions, I'm all ears. Reply in the comments. Drop me a line. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. Don't go to my Twitter feed. Nothing to do with Lego. And I'm on YouTube and Flickr. And I think both are linked somewhere. But Sparky1701, YouTube, Flickr, look me up. And drop me a line, and I look forward to hearing from you. You guys all stay safe, take care, and I'll talk to you soon.